they've apparently already said they didn't find anything in the safe. So there was so they broke into a safe, nothing in there. I mean, let's all be very clear. They are treating former President Trump like Pablo Escobar here. All right. This is outrageous. There was no need for this. They already had the National Archives back and forth with Trump and his lawyers. They took 15 boxes of material they thought should be presidential records, Clay. I think this is about, as crazy as it is, because the libs are emotionally destroyed by Trump, including Merrick Garland. I think he's an anti-Trump loon. This is about presidential records. Nobody's above the law. Clay, he's got the Attorney General for the state of New York suing him civilly. He's had to plead the fifth today. How many garbage investigations of one person that uncover no criminality have to happen before we all realize this is a witch hunt and this is persecution? We told you yesterday about the news that broke of an FBI raid on former President Trump's home in Palm Beach. Clay and I were sitting there with President Trump just this last, February, and it's quite a facility. And they showed up, about 30 FBI agents, and we now want to tell you some of the details of this. And just remember, in the background of this discussion, they were saying, just wait for all the facts. This is all by the book. You don't know what's in the warrant, which I think is all an attempt to try to tamp down the anger, the righteous anger that people feel about what was done to Donald Trump here. So here's what we know about this one, about what happened. First of all, they, according to Eric Trump, who runs the Trump Organization now, one of Donald Trump's sons, and also one of his lawyers, Christina Bobb, this is what we know. They refused to hand over the warrant initially, so they just said, we have a warrant. They wouldn't give a copy of the warrant, which I do not believe is standard process. They kicked the lawyer, Christina Bobb, off the property, out of Mar-a-Lago, made her wait at the end of the driveway. It's a pretty long driveway, so think about this. They're telling you not only are you not allowed inside the building where the search is going on, or the structure where the search is going on, they also insisted that she go about almost, 100 yards, 50 yards from the house. They wanted cameras, surveillance cameras, security cameras inside the facility turned off. They didn't want people to see what they were going for. They searched for hours, including in President Donald Trump's private office. They searched an area in the basement where they were keeping records under lock and key. They searched Melania's wardrobe. So they went through Melania, the former First Lady's closet.
Let's just pause there for a minute, Buck, because I saw that detail. What in the world could they be looking for in Melania's closet?
That's the question. The answer is, I think, they did it because they could. They did it because they were sending a message. They want to show that no one's above the law. Not even Melania's lingerie cabinet is above the law, sir. That seems to be the belief here.
Yeah, I saw that detail and it jumped out at me because, and you could say, well, you got to search everywhere to make sure that nothing's hidden there. Okay, first of all, and this is the very first question that I had when you called as soon as this news broke, Buck. I said, what could they possibly think that they are going to find in this search that is so incriminating that they're going to bring criminal charges based on what they uncover?
Let's assume that there was a smoking gun, as we've said, and that would be something like handwritten letter from Putin to Trump. Trumpy Trump, I love you. I'm so glad we stole the election together, 2016, signed Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. Like, that's not, but let's just say something of that. That would be tough for us to explain, right? That would be a hard one if that existed. Of course, it doesn't exist, but just for our thought exercise here, are they locking it up in Melania's closet? They're going to keep that.
Are they hiding it in her bra drawer?
Right.
I mean, seriously, would that be the place to keep it?
They broke into a Trump safe, As we discussed with Andy McCarthy yesterday, who's on Fox right now talking about this because he's one of the best guys on the subject you can find anywhere, about process and federal procedure in an incident like this, usually you take custody of the safe, then you get a separate judge saying, a judge weighing in to say that you can actually break into it. They've apparently already said they didn't find anything in the safe. So there was so they broke into a safe, nothing in there. I mean, let's all be very clear. They are treating former President Trump like Pablo Escobar here, all right? This is outrageous. There was no need for this. They already had the National Archives back and forth with Trump and his lawyers. They took 15 boxes of material they thought should be presidential records, Clay. I think this is about, as crazy as it is, because the libs are emotionally destroyed by Trump, including Merrick Garland. I think he's an anti-Trump loon. This is about presidential records. Nobody's above law. Clay, he's got the Attorney General for the state of New York suing him civilly. He's had to plead the fifth today. How many garbage investigations of one person that uncover no criminality have to happen before we all realize this is a witch hunt and this is persecution?
It's a very fair question. And I've been sitting around just trying to think. First of all, we need to see the warrant. All right. This warrant that this far left-wing activist judge signed, what did they specify that they were trying to find? And remember, I think it's worth going over this. There has to be probable cause. There has to be reasonable and particular descriptions inside of that warrant of exactly what they are looking for. The only thing that I can think of, and you know, I think I sent a text to you about this. Remember when there was talk that Kim Jong-un was writing all these, I think Trump even described them as big, beautiful letters that he was writing, the North Korean dictator to Trump. I don't think we've ever seen any of these. And I remember, am I crazy, or were they like oversized Publishers Clearinghouse like sized letters? Do you remember like the envelope being huge, like Trump held it up once?
I honestly don't. I don't really.
Am I somebody out there verify that I'm not totally remembering this as crazy?
Trump does describe everything he likes as big and beautiful, to be fair. So I don't know if there were normal
but
letters.
I think that physically the envelope, somebody on the staff had to back me up on this. Physically, I remember the envelope being absurdly large, and Trump was holding it up. It looked like like a briefcase size envelope, if I remember one of these letters from Kim Jong-un. Could they be trying to seize these letters from Kim Jong-un because Kim Jong-un liked Trump evidently and say, oh, look, the North Korean dictator was saying that he would help Donald Trump to
Clay, now you're calling your hole in one on the 12th hole, okay, buddy?
I'm just trying to play out here something that we know existed, something that theoretically would be, I would like to 100 years from now know what those letters actually said.
But I don't think it's that complicated. This is my assessment. I mean, I don't know, but I'm pretty confident. I mean, we can't keep track of all of our stake bets, so we're going to have the staff here write them down. But what I think is most likely is they saw a procedural, this is why I brought up the Logan Act. They saw a pretextual reason to do this, and they're desperate, and they hate Trump, and they're delusional about how this is going to play out. They have terrible judgment about what the response of most of the American people, not even just Trump supporters, will be to this, because even some Democrats are a little queasy over this one. This does set an obvious, really bad precedent. It might have just been Trump's not above the law, so we're going to slap him down with this, and we're going to show that he's a reckless with classified information or something like that, and a fishing expedition, meaning, Clay, maybe they think they're going to find, it's not that they even, to use your Kim Jong-un letter, they're looking for that letter, but they're looking for an excuse to look for letters like that one that they don't even know exist. You know what I mean? They're just looking to see what they can dredge up from anywhere.
And the thing that would support your argument there is the idea that they're going through Melania's clothes. If I would be, look, nobody wants to have somebody who is a federal agent ever going through their home. But what possible, reasonable, and particular details could have meant that they can go through Melania Trump's all of her clothes, all of her belongings, all of her, probably got a ton of shoes if she's anything like my wife. What are they thinking that they're going to find there? Like Trump was going to be like, oh, let's go hide this incriminating letter in the Melania's dresses.
Can I ask you this?
I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, do you think that Letitia James, the Attorney General for the state of New York is a mess. New York City has crime problems, all kinds of serious stuff. And even the mayor here has said the criminal justice system, the mayor has said it's a disaster. Letitia James, the Attorney General for the state of New York, is pushing yet another investigation of the Trump organization. Yet another, we're going to get him on some civil charge of fraud or something. Yeah. Do you think she actually thinks she's going to win, or is the process the punishment? I think libs are addicted to process punishments for anything Trump-related because this is who they are.
I think it's process punishment. I also think it's probably the best political branding possible for her. I think a lot of it, and this is unfortunate, I think a lot of these DAs, I think a lot of these attorney generals, they want to end up in bigger office than the office that they have now. And the best way, if you are a Democrat, that you can establish your bona fides right now with the Democrat Party is by going after Donald Trump in a legal process. I mean, they were ready to make Michael Avenatti the Democratic nominee for president just because he was representing Stormy Daniels.
One way that I knew, and I took a very hard line very early on the Kavanaugh situation about how he was clearly innocent and this was a setup and it was grotesque what they did to him, was I said, all right, the first person comes out, and the second person comes out and it's even weaker. Then the third person comes out and she's crazy. And those were the ones that they vetted. Then there were lots of other, Kavanaugh, raped me in Hawaii in 1942. It's like, well, he wasn't even born. I mean, there were literal crazy people out there. And I said, okay, so what's more likely, that these are politically motivated allegations or that there happens to be one that's true in a sea of lies? Look at Trump. Trump taxes, Trump emoluments clause, Trump sexual assault, Trump Russia collusion, Trump Ukraine phone call. All of it goes to nothing. We're to believe that now suddenly they've got him? No, they're just crazy.
That's a good argument. And to your point also, I love to bring this up. And even for left-wing people, they pause on this. Name something that was beneficial to Trump that the New York Times.
Got wrong. Yeah, no, the media became an
Post,
anti-Trump organ. That became
CNN,
clear.
Or if you were just incompetent, right? If you were just bad at your job as journalist, there would have been some story out there that was 100% untrue that Donald Trump saved 18 puppies from being put into, the pound and being thrown into a river and drowning. And then it would have been like, well, I don't know about this 18 puppy story. Maybe it didn't actually happen. There's not one story that was positive for Trump proven to be false. There's tons of negative stories proven to be false. That's a pretty clear example of bias.
I think there's a corollary to that, too. One thing you saw in the Trump era, and this, I would say this is true of journalists, and this is true of the weaponization of the bureaucracy and the DOJ, notably against Trump. Clay, when people get things wrong, they are usually supposed to be apologetic, correct it, and a little embarrassed, right? Professional. When you get something professional, I hate, that's something I had to correct recently. I said on the air, I hate having to correct things, but I correct things. I'm embarrassed. When the libs, either through an investigation or through a media story, to your point, are wrong about Trump, it's fine because it served the purpose, which was to attack. It's not about the truth. It's about attacking. That's all you have to know about where these people are coming from.
There were giant oversized envelopes. I was not a crazy man. There are pictures, our staff has tracked them down, of Trump holding up the Kim Jong-un envelope with the letter.
It
was truly a big, beautiful letter, potentially.
No one thinks, though, that those only were read by Kim Jong-un and Trump. And I don't know how good Kim Jong-un's English is.